So I'm going to apologize here. I apologize if you can hear a lot of noise in the background of this video. They're cleaning the windows outside, they're spraying everything down, and you're probably going to hear it because this condenser microphone is way too sensitive. But either way, we have ourselves a very interesting tweet that was made by Pierre LeBrun just half an hour ago that I thought prompted a very interesting conversation as to the future of Martin Necas. So here's the tweet as published by LeBrun on Twitter. Offer sheets are a pretty rare thing, but one thing I've heard a bit this week on the Necas offer sheet front is a few teams wondering if it is a plausible avenue, if the asking price in trade talks with Carolina remains too high. It's probably a long shot play, but it's something to file away. And that's it. That's the tweet. That's an update. It's not really an update. LeBrun is just saying, hey, an offer sheet could be a possibility here. And because of that, I wanted to use this as fuel to discuss some of the teams that could be involved in this because the Twitter replies are going off and a lot of people are tossing out different ideas. So, because Twitter has a whole bunch of diversity on it, this is the selection of replies. They're all different, interestingly enough. The first one is Martin Necas to the Kings. Okay, Mark Dumont getting involved here. Don Draper then replies saying Montreal is already burned with Carolina, so let's double down. Another reply says that he is a St. Louis Blue. Fourth reply says this is a great planned story to change leverage. It is officially trade season. And then you have yourselves another reply saying that the Vancouver Canucks should offer sheet Necas in some sort of a redemption move for Ilya Mikheyev or whatever. So, of course, these are all just people on Twitter talking about whatever. They're not insiders, per se. I mean, Mark Dumont, you could debate whether or not he is, but either way, the idea of a Martin Necas offer sheet is one that I think makes a lot of sense, and we had talked about this in a few prior videos, but when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes, they have had some issues with not wanting to pay their guys the money that those guys are asking for. It's why Sebastian Aho got offer sheeted in the first place. I keep on repeating myself, but there are some newer fans who have been into the hockey scene lately, and therefore don't realize what happened when Sebastian Aho got offer sheeted by the Canadiens. The Hurricanes very easily matched the Sebastian Aho offer sheet because the money wasn't really that big of a deal. It wasn't a super outrageous, crazy contract for Sebastian Aho. It was pretty reasonable. It's just the Carolina Hurricanes did not want to give that money to him because, you know, they were kind of penny pinching a little bit. They wanted to save every dollar they could. But as a result, Sebastian Aho said, okay, Montreal, you're offer sheeting me this contract. It's a very reasonable contract. It's pretty much the contract that I want. I'm going to sign with you, Montreal, not because I want to play for you, but because Carolina can easily match this dollar amount, and I'll stick around with them. Sebastian Aho, in a way, used Montreal to get the negotiations done with the team that he was originally on, because he knew that team in Carolina could have paid him what he wanted. They just didn't want to. So he kind of handcuffed them and said, okay, you have no choice, now you have to pay me. Not saying that Martin Necas is going to do the same thing here, but because there already was a history of Carolina guys not really getting the dollars that they deserve, quote-unquote, there is a real possibility here that combined with Necas not wanting to stay in Carolina, not feeling like he's got that opportunity to get the proper role that he wants, nor that he's going to get the money that he wants, Seth Jarvis has taken full priority there in Carolina, because all of these factors are added into the mix, it makes it easier to believe that an offer sheet 2.0 could brew up here between Necas and some other team. Now, whether or not that contract is in the $7-8 million range, you've got yourselves different levels of compensation there, which certainly would be okay. But if Carolina is so adamant that they want a solidified elite caliber talent in exchange for Necas, they want a defenseman, a really good one at that, a top 4 guy. They want somebody to replace Necas on the team. If they get too greedy with their demands, if other teams say, hey, Carolina's asking for way too much for Martin Necas, we can just offer sheet the guy, and if we get it to go, then we'll just give up a first, a second, and a third, and that's it. Like, we don't have to give up all this extra stuff that Carolina wants. This could especially be useful for a team that is in the playoff mix right now and is looking to just add Martin Necas without really sacrificing any talent on the team right now. Like, you could look at Vancouver, for example, just tossing them out there because, you know, my favorite team, I know them the most. If they offer sheet Martin Necas, they have to give up some draft picks. Okay, But that's it. That's it. You don't have to give in to Carolina's huge asking price of a whole bunch of extra stuff that might actually hurt your team if you get rid of it. If you get rid of a good young defenseman in order to get Necas, if you get rid of Filip Hronek to get Necas, then your team gets worse. But if you instead just offer up firsts and seconds and thirds and all these other draft picks, hey, your team isn't getting any worse because draft picks don't help the team. They help your team later when you actually use them. So if the Vancouver Canucks find a way, they get themselves a Jake Guentzel in free agency, for example, and they also get a Martin Necas, would that not be the best case scenario for this damn forward core? Now sure, I get it, there's not infinite dollars to spend on whomever it is that you want, and the Canucks still have to fill out their D-core. But the idea of an offer sheet being very real in the eyes of Pierre LeBrun makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if you wanted to go over some of the other teams that were talked about here, the LA Kings were mentioned by Marc Dumont. This makes a lot of sense as well because they just got rid of Pierre-Luc Dubois. They kind of have the opportunity for somebody to go out there and step up big time. Now, Jeff Merrick did say on his show earlier this morning that he thinks that the replacement for PLD, role-wise, is going to be Quinton Byfield. That guy, they're projecting that he's going to take some huge steps and therefore make the loss of Pierre-Luc Dubois not really felt anymore. Like if Quinton Byfield becomes the 70, 80, 90 point caliber guy that we believe he could be, then okay, fine. Screw Dubois, just go with Kopitar and Byfield for the next 5 years. That's certainly fine. But because you left out Dubois anyway, there still is a roster spot that could be taken up, and if you offer sheeted for Necas, he could be that guy. Necas and Fiala playing together sounds like a really interesting combination to me. I would love to see that happen on the grand stage. Now, going over to the other teams, the Montreal Canadiens, hey, maybe Kent Hughes doesn't need to make some sort of a trade with a roster forward or whatever to get this done. Just offer sheet Necas. Let's get this back-to-back offer sheet situation to another back, from Aho to KK to Necas, and then in a few years, the Carolina Hurricanes can offer sheet, I don't know, David Reinbacher or whatever, we'll see. But having Martin Necas on the Montreal Canadiens, as we had said, it's a really great idea when you talk about bolstering up the forward core. It's just the price that's really gonna impact whether or not this gets done, considering how many teams are involved in Martin Necas. If there's an offer sheet, then all of a sudden it's Necas himself that has the right to choose. He can choose more money with a team that he doesn't want to go to, he can choose less money with a team that he'd prefer to go to, and if he just gets an offer that he likes, you make him an offer he can't refuse. Maybe at that point do the Carolina Hurricanes get burned. They don't get the price they want for Necas. They end up getting some offer sheet compensation instead. They're not able to match like they did with Sebastian Aho because they themselves would probably not like to keep him around anymore. And then they wake up the next morning with a horse head in their bed. Like, that is the danger of really playing all your chips close to your pocket and saying, yeah, we want as much as we can get for this dude. Carolina has been noted for penny pinching in the past, and I get it, management's changed, it's a little bit different now, but still, this is an intriguing enough idea that I wanted to go out there and talk about it. There are some other teams here. St. Louis, they could use some scoring. There are a bunch of other replies talking about other teams. I mean, either way, the tweet itself is getting some hate too. Here's a reply or two. We have to be at a record-breaking level of useless reports this summer. Which teams are you talking about, Pierre LeBrun? If you don't tell us which teams, this is a useless tweet. At the end of the day, though, we gotta talk about something. And while there were a few signings that happened, I don't really think those moved the needle out too much, and I don't think people really recognize who a lot of those names are, to be honest. So, either way, all Cole Gutman and Alex Nedeljkovic signings aside, this is the report that I wanted to make a video about to end off today's show. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of a Marty Necas offer sheet, and if you think this actually has the possibility of coming to fruition. If you're a fan of the Canucks, you're a fan of the Canadiens, you're a fan of the LA Kings, what are your opinions about this? I know we had talked about a few other teams here in this video, but really those were the three that I wanted to focus on the most. Martin Necas offer sheet, yay or nay? What do you think the price is, and what is the compensation for that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.